WandaVision's coming out. Already getting very good reviews too, apparently, right? I, for one, in a thirst for new content, or no, sorry, not new content, something to watch. I had flagged Ozark in my Netflix queue for. I think it's been in my queue for the last year to watch Ozark, and for some reason, on a whim, I'm working out. I'm on an exercise bike, and I got my phone. I'm like, what the hell? Let me watch Ozark. That was one of the best TV pilots I have ever seen. That first episode of Ozark. Let me give you a quick little rundown, Hassan, of all the things that happened in the first episode of Ozark.
Don't spoil it.
It's been out for it's in.
Doesn't matter. Don't spoil it. I haven't seen it. I have not seen it.
Are you going to watch it though?
Sure. If you don't spoil it.
All right. I will say this then. There is so much that happens in the first, I guess, what's it, 54 minutes long? That they literally could have made that an entire series based on just what was happening in the pilot to set up the storyline. They could have made that a whole season. It doesn't feel cramped. It doesn't feel rushed. It was executed so flawlessly, in my opinion.
Flawlessly, wow.
That it was, I mean, maybe the first 5 minutes were a little slow, but everything else was like, oh, this is not what it. Oh, I didn't see this coming. I didn't. Ooh, this guy. Oh, and she knew. And now he knows about. Oh, that guy. Whoa.
Is it going to make me do that? Because I'll probably not watch it then.
Probably not you.
Yeah, if it's going to make me, I don't think I'm going to do it.
What was that? I feel like there's an old sketch cow. I forget. Maybe it was the State or something. Yeah, it was like I think the State at MTV. They had one of those things like like all the like the whole sketch was just them going crazy. Like
yeah.
Yeah. It was the two guys. They were buying a rug in a furniture store, and they're like, "This rug is the greatest. I am making love to this rug right now." That was everything was like the salesperson was like, "Let me show you this clock." Whoa! This clock.
Yeah. So maybe
I would actually pay money to see you react in that kind of way.
Nah, dude. Nah.
Circling back from the tangent, the Ozark pilot was so good, like just so good. So good I haven't watched the next episode, but that's because I haven't had time to.
Oh God. You always ruin
Tuesday. I watched it Tuesday. It's Wednesday.
Ruin your arguments.
Monday. I watched it Monday. It's Wednesday.
You always contradict your own arguments for everything. Like arguing with you is so easy because all I do is wait long enough. And you're gonna counter argue your argument.
I do. I counter argue it because minutes. I feel as if the next question in your mouth is, well, what about the rest of the season? And I'd be like, well, I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
You'll be like, but if it was so good, no, it was good, and I've
learned over the years, just wait.
He'll
do it himself, and I won't have.
And then I worked all day. Yeah, I was working on Time Trader for Rogue Matter yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to watch any TV. I haven't watched. Put it this way, I haven't watched any TV aside from sports since Ozark. So there is my my caveat to my own counter argument.
Okay.
So it got me thinking, like, what are the best TV pilots of all time? And we started talking off air. You had a few that you thought were like the best that you've ever seen.
Well, they're better than Ozark.
Well, you don't know. You can't tell me.
I know they are. You know why?
I don't know.
I know. You know why I know? Because those episodes compelled me to watch the rest of the show.
Yeah.
So they have to be better than whatever the Ozarks was, because that just didn't, no matter how good it was, it didn't push you. I don't know. I've seen stuff. I think the first episode of Justified was amazing. And it got me hooked. And I was late to that. I didn't have FX.
Yeah.
So I was late to that. So I was able to like binge most of the first season.
Right.
When I first saw it. And that first episode compelled me to watch. And then I subsequently watched the entire show.
Yeah.
I stayed with it all the way to the end. So I don't know if I've seen too many amazing pilots, but I've seen pilots that are great enough to make me like a devotee of the show.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if this whole show is like this,
Right.
then I'm definitely watching the rest of this. You know,
The reason I say that, though,
sticking with
pilot
it.
episodes, can be a disaster, and not actually accurately reflect the way the rest of the show is going to be. Like I actually called to mind Seinfeld, right? The first season of Seinfeld is terrible. Now, I loved it because I was in 5th grade when it first
You know
came
what Seinfeld was called before it was Seinfeld?
Seinfeld Chronicles. We all know that.
Not everybody knows that. Not everybody knows that. What kind of nonsense is that? Trust me.
Everybody up here knows it.
All the banana people in your head. Yeah, yes. Okay. I'm sure they know a lot of things.
Seinfeld, the first season was pretty bad, but I loved it because I was 5th grade and I, for some reason, wanted to be a stand-up comedian. Like that was when I discovered stand-up comedy, and I was like, wow, I want to be a stand-up comedian. Yes, that was my, when you're a kid, like you want to be like something different every year. No,
I just can't not see that.
What?
I can't
not see me. You could absolutely see me as a stand-up comedian. I wouldn't be a very good one. Well, that's not true. I'm pretty brilliant, so it's possible that I would be hilarious.
Ooh, it keeps getting worse. Okay. But, anyway,
but I was big into the show because they would actually, it was a unique show. It never did this before. It was a sitcom, plus it had his stand-up, and his stand-up was always brilliant, right? That was always the best part of the early shows, was his stand-up. And so that's why it's amazing. It was a summer cast off of all things. The first 4 episodes, that was a summer cast off. And I remember that summer I stayed a week at my grandma's. My sister and I stayed with my grandma for a week for like a fun vacation. Like, because when you're 10 years old, like what, that's your vacation, right? Like, unless you go with your family, you go stay somewhere else, maybe a friend's house or grandma's house. And that's what I did. And I remember like tuning into this because of the stand-up comedy stuff, not thinking the rest of the show is bad. But then years later, you end up watching the pilot and you're like, how the hell did this get renewed? Like, how did they get into a season 2? Which even season 2 wasn't great, but I kept.
So are we talking about best pilots or worst pilots now?
Well, I'm talking about best pilots, but my point being, though, is that a pilot episode is not easy to do, to a point where, like you mentioned Game of Thrones to me off air as being one of the best pilots you've seen. Or one of the favorites that you have.
Yeah, but I think honestly, if I rethink it, it's one of the first. It's one of the best first seasons I've seen. Okay. I don't remember I think the impact of the pilot was like, that was interesting. I'll watch next week. It wasn't like, oh my God, this is going to be one of the greatest shows on the planet, and I'm going to keep watching it. That wasn't my reaction to it at all. I would say it has to be first season. It's one of the best first seasons I've ever seen. It compelled me to start reading those books.
Yeah.
And then I was finished with all those books by the time. Well, I was finished with the first 4 books by the time season 2 came out. I was one of the book devotees by the time season 2 came out. That's not really what you're talking about. So
it is and it isn't. I mean, we're just it's just kind of with WandaVision coming out.
I think the first episode of Rome was still is an amazing first a pilot episode. You can't really call it a pilot episode because it was on HBO, so it's just really a first episode. Because basically, if people don't understand, like most of the young people won't understand, a pilot is usually a show that comes out maybe 6 months to a year before the season, before the first season comes out. It's just a test. They put it out. They may make a little bit a bit of publicity about it.
They may order the series. The pilot is there to make sure that that executives will order the series. So whether
and sometimes they'll show the pilot, and sometimes they won't. And a lot of times, by the time we see the first episode, it's the pilot, but it's been refilmed 2 or 3 times because the first pilot of Game of Thrones isn't the pilot. It doesn't. The actress who played Daenerys was changed. A number of actors were changed, as a matter of fact. So it is what it is. That's why Game of Thrones doesn't really qualify, but that's also why HBO doesn't really qualify because they don't really show pilots.
Right.
So like you're seeing the best first episodes of a show. I did tell you, and I will repeat it here, that I thought that Boardwalk Empire was, and I have a hard time saying Boardwalk Empire. I can't get
fair
those
enough.
two. I can't get those two out.
Fair enough.
But I think that was a fantastic pilot. I still go back to that. I think up to season 3, it was one of the greatest shows I've ever seen, and then it got really weird.
Did you ever see? Because this was my king of all pilots before.
King of all pilots.
Before Ozark has now entered in the conversation.
Oh my God! Like this Ozark's not going to hold up.
No, it's obviously
it's not going to hold. Stop overselling it. It's not going to hold up.
That's your homework assignment. I want you to watch Ozark and come back.
I'm not gonna watch it because I'm afraid of having seizures like you just did. You know, I'm afraid of that. My health. I'm trying to look out for my health. You know, I'm making a concerted effort about it, and they're
gonna have to start making an Ozark protocol. Like there's
you just put me off that because you're That's
like
I don't want that.
Was like that Simpsons episode where they have like the flashy seizure anime episode. They literally call the show flashy
seizure. That's not nice.
I'll get the actual.
That's not funny.
I'll get the actual title for it. But no. Did you ever watch Californication?
Yes.
One of the best. That was my favorite pilot episode. I thought.
I don't even remember the pilot of that.
It was one of those things where it was so well executed. The premise was well executed, but also it had so much that I'll call it action. I can't, it's not like an action show, but it had so much going on in it that it like immediately I was like, I felt like I had watched a 48-minute movie. Do you know what I mean? And that was one of those pilot episodes to me that was like
I've seen a couple like that. I can't think of them now, unfortunately. But I've seen a couple of like I think the first episode of The Expanse was like, wow, all right, I'm gonna watch this show. This looks great.
Yeah.
Mostly because it's a science fiction show, but all the money was on the screen.
Right.
Like you could see like, oh, this looks exceptional.
Yeah.
There's a little obscure show that nobody knows from the BBC was The Musketeers. I'm a big fan of the book, The Three Musketeers. Okay. So the pilot of that, I've actually gone back to see that a number of times because it's an excellent first episode.
Yeah.
But it's like a swashbuckling thing with guys from France with swords. So a lot of people are not going to, like if I told you got to watch that, you're not going to.
No.
So yeah.
You also pride yourself on being a counter mainstream kind of guy. You like finding things that other people are not into.
You know what? To be honestly, I don't pride myself on it. I just find that I am. Like I like this. I don't like that. Like I'm not gonna watch Gossip Girl. I'm not gonna watch.
How dare
I
you,
didn't.
Sir.
I didn't really watch
How dare
Bridgerton.
You?
I wasn't interested in Bridgerton, even though that's trending and that's still #1 on Netflix.
Which one is?
Since Christmas, Bridgerton. I'm not gonna. There's some things I'm not gonna watch.
Yeah.
And then you don't either. You didn't jump to it. You didn't slave yourself out to the fashion. So it is what it is. So
I get a sense of pride from you, though. There's an air of pride.
Look, man,
when you're like,
I like that the things I like. I like that you have that channel. You have the BBC. Don't act like that's a hoity channel. It's the only broadcasting system in Britain. It's like it's not like it's an obscure. The entire country, the entire nation of Britain watches.
Oh,
hey man, they do good. They do the good writing.
Here's a good one.
They invented the language, so they know how to use it correctly. So there's a number of things like that. But I'm just saying, in general, I just find I pride myself on finding things I really like that I end up liking 10, 15 years later.
Right.
Like this was genuinely good because the 15-year older me still likes it. After all I've been through. So that's kind of where my pride is. I'm not gonna lie and say I'm not. I'm not arrogant snob about some things. Not gonna lie, I am.
So I threw this one out. I threw this out on social.
But every now and then, Avatar gets in there. Like I really like Avatar. Sometimes I do like the grand spectacles. I liked Titanic.
Well, I mean, it was wonderful, and she let him die.
It's still the greatest movie of all time, the highest grossing movie of all time.
So I threw this out on social media. And a couple came back that I thought were interesting because we've talked about them also. Lost was an answer for many, many people. And you did not like the Lost. Here's the thing. about, again, it's a pilot episode, not a first season, right? From a pilot episode, dropping the mystery boxes, whether you have complaints about the execution of said mystery boxes, or if said creator tends to rely on mystery boxes to tell stories, in a pilot episode, dropping a mystery box is kind of a good thing, right? Wouldn't you say?
I would say so. I wouldn't argue with that. I wouldn't argue.
Oh, you wouldn't?
I wouldn't argue.
Okay.
I would say yes, but I didn't really dig the pilot of Lost, regardless of the mystery box. That wasn't the reason I disliked it, but that didn't make me like it either.
Right. Randy Weingart, who is he worked for Nielsen for 20 years.
I was actually shamed into liking Lost because everybody at the office liked it, so it's like everyone's talking about this damn show. I got to see it,
Yeah.
And that was back in the day where, you felt peer pressure. The older you get,
because you actually were around other human beings.
Yeah. Well,
that was,
as I get older, I don't.
Someone? Yeah.
You can.
Is there Zoom shaming?
Yeah, there's plenty of Zoom
Interesting.
shaming.
Randy was in.
Listen to Sentimentals. There's plenty of Zoom shaming.
No,
but
you can get that on all major podcasting apps.
Yes, you can wherever you get podcasts from. Sentimentals.
Suddenly you don't mind. Anyway. You don't mind the plugging when it's plugging stuff that you do.
I don't ever stop you from plugging. I just make fun of you for doing it. So you're free to make fun of me.
Randy was an old college roommate of mine, and he responded, "My job included watching pilots for all broadcast networks for over, or has included, I guess he's still with Nielsen, for over 20 years. The pilot that changed TV after 2000, he said Twin Peaks did that before that, was Lost. That second, my team and I saw the Lost pilot. We knew we had a game changer and ratings juggernaut, and it was also great television. Personally, the pilot for the, and he also wrote, personally, the pilot for the underrated Hannibal was also mesmerizing. Hannibal I never really saw, so I can't count.
Hannibal that's a good pilot. That was a really good pilot.
The other one that oh, sorry, go ahead.
Nah, anything I was going to say after that was going to be somewhat negative, so never mind.
Okay.
But it was a good pilot. It's very, very, very good pilot.
The other one that kind of came up was Walking Dead. Jeff Buterman, fan of the show, friend of the show, Walking Dead.
I remember that pilot. I do remember the Walking Dead pilot.
Melissa Wong Becker, also friend of the show. Jeff Buterman. The pilot is so cringy now, watching the part when Morgan is hammering boards over the windows. It's that is a solid pilot, right? I mean, and also in the realm of what we do, right, in terms of comic book movies.
See, this is the thing, though. Before you go on, this is the situation. Anything I would tell you, this was a great pilot. 10 years later, I wouldn't be like, it's cringe now, but back in the day, it was great. I mean, that's why I kind of misunderstood the assignment, because I'm like, things that were a great pilot that turned out to be great, And the stuff I say is like, it's still great. I could put those on now and be like, man, this was great. If only the show stayed like this, or if only this show was still on.
I don't think she used cringy in that fan. I think she meant like creepy. Like it is so creepy now. Maybe.
Well, she's using the wrong term.
Oh, maybe maybe you're right. Means. Oh, wait, maybe you're right. Maybe she's saying cringy in a negative way. Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, because I mean, if you know the show, right, and then you watch the meager way that they fortified themselves against the Walking Dead, the walkers, then maybe that's cringy. Who knows? She's gonna have to clarify that.
That's what I'm saying. We're gonna call out Melissa Wong Becker. I don't know if she meant a negative or positive, but I know a lot of people said Walking Dead was a great pilot, and I do agree with that. I
did enjoy the Walking Dead pilot. That did compel me to keep watching the show at the time,
and it was pretty faithful, right? It was a pretty faithful adaptation.
I had never read the comic. That was
I went back and read the comic afterwards, and it was actually pretty faithful to it. So cheers to that.
But that's Frank Darabont. Darabont, first season. If it wasn't for Darabont's first season, there would be no Walking Dead show, I think.
Other notables before we go to break: Battlestar Galactica, great pilot. I don't know, yes or no?
I didn't like it.
Okay,
I was not, but. There's a reason. There's a bias in that. I was a fan of the original show, and I, at the time, was not a fan of reimagined. I was very gatekeeper-ish. Like don't come to me with this, this brand new, wash, this contemporary wash over like my classics.
Yeah.
So I mean, since then, I have not liked Battlestar Galactica for its own merits, but at the time, I didn't like it. Because of being a gatekeeper. So, okay, what's next?
Firefly. I never got the love of Firefly. I like Joss Whedon a lot, but I didn't. Firefly just was one of those like, it just felt underwhelming to me.
I would agree.
I liked the movie. The movie I thought was better than the actual show.
My reaction to the movie of Serenity, was when I came out of that. I was talking to a friend of mine. I said, "Nah," I was talking about Joss Whedon, who I am notoriously not a fan of.
Right.
I mean, I'm not even secretive about that.
Right.
And
no.
my attitude was like, he knows the words, but he doesn't know the music. That's how I felt about it. I was not enamored with it.
I like
whatsoever.
that. Very dynamic.
I have since changed my perspective on Joss Whedon, especially after Avengers, which he did. I think the first Avengers he did a fantastic job on.
Yeah.
And then I saw the second Avengers, and then I went right back to my Joss Whedon situation. But okay, so.
And then lastly,
Firefly. What was the other one?
West Wing came up a lot. I've never
seen West Wing. So, but now that you made me think about it, Westworld had a great first episode.
Oh yes. Woo! Talk about not a measure of what was to come. Now, first season Westworld, amazing.
First season's really great. I actually own the first season, and then I dropped way off.
It's worth it. Do you know what's really funny? Before we go to break, I still have the last episode of season 3 sitting on my DVR because I just refuse to watch it. But I refuse to delete it. I keep it there as like an emergency
reminder.
It's a reminder of how awful the show is now, and also it's an emergency break glass in case I need to see something. And I don't know.
And what's funny is season 3 is an improvement on season 2. But it's just too little, too late.
But an awful show. All right, what do you guys think? Give us your favorite TV pilots of all time. Praise for WandaVision. I'm pretty excited. We'll dive deep into that next week a little bit. But people are really saying great things, and we hope that it will be as great as Ozark, which is phenomenal. Hassan's going to go home this weekend, and he's going to watch it. We're going to talk about it next week.
Maybe not. Okay, that sounds good. You know what? And then I almost guarantee if I watch it and I enjoy that pilot, by next week I'll have seen the whole show.
Yeah.
And you still will only have seen episode 1.
Probably episode 2. I will give myself that I can get done with at least one more episode of Ozark before next week's show. All right. When we come back, we do our Rogue Rage. Kevin Feige making the rounds. The future of the MCU coming into clarity when we come back.